Number Scar. There are 5 simple money habits that changed my life in just 1 year. These are not things that you have heard before. Okay, so, if you're ready, get a pen and paper out. Write them down. This is going to change your life in 2026. Let's go now. 1. It's very easy to start saving when you're earning a lot of money. And it's also very easy to stop saving when you do UNT or a lot of money. But here's the thing. If you save 10% of every single income that comes into your account, no matter how big or how small, it will completely change your life in 1 year. And you can use this percentage for all of your savings goals. So what I mean by this is, even if you earn $1,000 in a month, you want to save at least 10% of that $1,000, which is $100. No. 2. Now that you have started saving at least 10% of every single income that comes into your account, the next step is to start tracking where your money is going. And I think this is a really important point. Because most people, they save their money. But they do. I know where that money's going, and they just let their bank tell where that money goes. So if you want to make sure that your money is being used efficiently, you need to track where it's going. So there are 2 ways to do this. The first way is by getting a job that gives you a detailed breakdown of where your money is going. So for example, if you work for a company, you might receive a report at the end of the month showing you how much money you've spent on marketing, how much money you've spent on payroll, how much money you've spent on office supplies, all of those different things. You want to look through that report carefully and make sure that every single penny is being accounted for. You don't want any surprises at the end of the month when you get your credit card bill and you realize that you spent twice as much money as you expected. So make sure that you're tracking where your money is going on a monthly basis. Now, if you're self-employed, you want to do the same thing. So at the end of every single month, you want to sit down and go through all of your receipts and all of your bank statements and make sure that you can account for every single penny that you've spent. This is not something that I like doing, but it is something that needs to be done if you want to make sure that your money is being used efficiently. Once you've done this for a few months, you'll start to see patterns emerge. You'll start to see where your money is going, and you can start to make changes to save money in those areas. And I think this is a really important habit to develop. Because if you do UNT know where your money is going, you're never going to be able to save money or invest it wisely. No. 3. I've talked about this before in other videos. I'm a huge fan of replacing your expensive habits with cheaper alternatives. So, for example, one of my expensive habits is getting a coffee every single day. Now, I love coffee. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But I also know that spending $5 every single day on a coffee is not the best use of my money. So what I decided to do is to replace that expensive habit with a cheaper alternative. Instead of getting a coffee every single day, I decided to get a French press and make my own coffee at home. Now, this has not only saved me a ton of money, but it's also made me appreciate coffee a lot more when I make my own coffee at home. Primera take my time. I enjoy the process. I actually enjoy the coffee a lot more than when I am just rushing to get a coffee in the morning. Another example of this is takeout. Now, I love takeout food. It's probably my biggest weakness. I could easily spend $30, $40, $50 on takeout every single day. But instead, what I decided to do is to replace that expensive habit with a cheaper alternative. Instead of getting takeout every single day, I decided to cook my own meals at home. Not only has this saved me a ton of money, but it's also helped me eat healthier. When I cook my own meals, I know exactly what ingredients are going into them. I don't have to worry about MSG or other additives that are in takeout food. Now, this doesn't mean that I never get takeout anymore. I still get takeout probably once or twice a week, but it's definitely less than I used to, and I've saved a ton of money in the process. So if you have any expensive habits, try replacing them with cheaper alternatives. You'll be surprised at how much money you can save. No. 4. We live in a world where everyone wants to sell you something. There are people trying to sell you clothes, cars, houses, vacations. The list goes on and on. But here's the thing. No one is trying to sell you knowledge. No one is trying to sell you the ability to become a better version of yourself. And I think this is a real shame, because if you invest in yourself, if you invest in your knowledge, if you invest in your skills, that is the best investment you can ever make. For example, recently I bought a course online that taught me how to build websites. I paid $997 for that course, And in just 1 year, it has already made me over $10,000. So you can see how investing in myself has already paid off in a big way. Another example is reading books. I read at least one book every single month, and it cost me around $10, $20 per book. But the knowledge I gain from these books is invaluable. I've learned so much from books that I've read, and it has helped me become a better investor, a better businessman, a better person. So if you want to change your life in 1 year, start investing in yourself. Start learning new skills. Start reading books. Start listening to podcasts. All of these things will help you become a better version of yourself, and they will pay off in a big way. No. 5. This is the final one. If you want to change your life in 1 year, you need to set a clear goal. You need to have a clear target that you're aiming for. Otherwise, you're just kind of wandering through life with no direction, no purpose. And I think this is the biggest mistake that most people make when they try to improve their finances. They don't set a clear goal. They don't have a clear target that they're aiming for. So for example, let's say that you want to save up for a new laptop that costs $2,000. That's your clear goal. You know exactly how much you need to save, and you know exactly what you're saving for. This is going to motivate you to stay on track and to reach your financial goals. Now here's the thing. You want to make sure that your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, okay? So specific means that you need to be clear about what you want. For example, instead of saying, I want to save more money, you want to say, I want to save $10,000. Measurable means that you need to be able to track your progress. So for example, if you're saving money for a vacation, you want to know exactly how much you have saved and when you're going on vacation. Achievable means that your goal should be challenging but realistic. For example, if you're saving for a new car, don't set an unrealistic goal of saving $1 million because you're never going to achieve that. Set a realistic goal that is challenging but achievable. Relevant means that your goal should align with your values and your priorities. For example, if you value experiences over material things, then don't set a goal of buying a luxury car. Set a goal of going on an amazing vacation. Time-bound means that you need to have a deadline. You need to have a specific date by which you want to achieve your goal. For example, instead of saying, I want to save money for a new house, you want to say, I want to save for a new house in the next 5 years. By having a clear goal and a deadline, you're more likely to stay motivated and to reach your financial goals. So those are the 5 money habits that will make you richer in 2026. If you follow these tips, I promise you that you will be in a better financial position next year. So get a pen and paper out, write them down, and start implementing them in your life today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.